Hey guys, I want to welcome you this morning. I'm very pumped up about sharing with you something that I feel is just not talked about enough, which is recommitment and what that actually looks like in your business life. So let me just kind of define why I want to talk about it this morning. Well, the first thing is that oftentimes when people get into business, they have a really good idea of what they want to do and where they want to be. But the reality is that they oftentimes don't reach that. And what ends up happening is people tend to, isolate or get frustrated at themselves. They get down, they feel shame, guilt, or anything else in their lives that are not helpful emotions, which kind of lead them into not realizing their goals. And so I kind of want to set an idea for what is commitment today, and a big question about how are we getting where we want to get to in life. And this is all about today's mindset. Once again, every single day at 9 a.m., we talk through either the market, through mortgages, through mastery, through marketing, and then today is mindset. So I want to bring you into this weekend, and as you kind of end towards, we're looking towards the end of the year, how this is going to impact you as you set up your plans. Well, the first thing that I want to talk about with recommitment is the fact that no one is perfect. No one gets anything right the first time. Think about this. If you played sport as a kid or you have children and they try something, no one's getting it right the first time. And part of being here, just even as a human or in business, is the learning process and the growing process. And the fact that people don't get it right the first time is actually a really good thing. Learning is a very good thing. Can you imagine if you were a pro at something, you were like the best basketball player, doesn't get paid as LeBron? Like, they just don't. And there's a reason for that. There needs to be a disparity in between those who have the knowledge and have gone through the testing and those who have not, all of that together. Now, here's what I will say for you. What feels the same for most people is that they have an intention when they get started into something, okay? They have an intention. Inside of them, they desire to have what we call an ideal outcome. They think to themselves, I believe that this could be great. It would look like this in my life. There's a spark or a flutter, an imagining of this ideal outcome. And we know that logic makes people think and emotion makes people act. So what ends up happening is that initially our minds, our hearts give us this picture of what life could look like. Oh man, it would be amazing if I could be a real estate agent. I could have flexibility with my time and schedule. I could have the possibility that if I wanted to earn more money, then I could put more effort into my career to possibly bring home more for my family. And number three, I could be my own boss. I would never have to report into anybody at any time, and then I could be the one to control my own destiny. If that's you, if you've ever felt that, you're not alone. You're probably someone who saw this ideal outcome in your future. But where did that start? Where was the genesis of that feeling? For most, the genesis of that feeling was an emotion. It showed up in your life and you were like, this sounds great. And we know, like I said, that emotions make people act while logic makes them think. So I want you to catch this for a second. The next step that we take in that emotion is determination. Determination. We set out and we think to ourselves, yup, okay, great. I'm going to get into this place of, recommitment in my life, or excuse me, oops. I'm bringing that back there. I'm going to get committed in my life and I'm going to make sense of this. Now, one of the issues from that is that we have to figure out what we're committing to. What are we committing to? When we say, oh, I want to have that ideal outcome of being this successful real estate agent. Well, in that moment, you might imagine of what it could look like, but you are in that moment committing to that emotion. You're not committing to anything else. You've just committed to, I believe that this could look great on the outset. So we have to ask ourselves, is that good? Can I commit to emotion? Well, emotions are not there to be our guiding light. Why? Well, because emotions are there as the sparks or initiators of what's going on inside of our minds, inside of our souls, to tell us really what we might want in life. They're initiators. They were designed to help start things, never to keep them going. Think about anything in life. Think about your relationships or whatever it is. Emotions will come and go. There's times that you've probably felt angry in life, but that anger fades. There's times that you've probably felt enamored about something, but you know what? Over time, that's not as exciting. You might have gotten a new toy as a child and you were obsessed with it for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but eventually that fades. All of that is emotion. So what are we really committing to? What is the definition of commitment? And why should we continue to commit? Well, commitment, I looked it up, is defined by the state of being dedicated. Okay, so maybe I'm using a word that's really just defining another word. So maybe I should be using the word dedicated. But when I looked up dedicated, guess what it said? The quality of being committed. So what the heck is this? I'm supposed to be committing to things, and I don't even know what this actually means. And I think that we could probably come up with a definition to ourselves that's something like this. I'm just not going to change my mind. I'm just not going to change my mind about this thing. So then the question is, why do we? Why do we change our mind? What happens? It's simple, really. We have to decide what we are committing to. Am I committing to an ideal of some kind? Am I committing to an outcome? What if my ideals change? And what if I don't get the outcome that I want? What starts to happen in my head? What starts to happen inside? This is where the formula of commitment breaks down and we start to see watered down results. Most often in our society and in our industry, most people are just committing to ideal outcomes. And why not? Sounds great, but it doesn't work. Emotions and ideals, they meet resistance. Here's why. To see if they have a plan to succeed. Period. All they're there for is just to give you the initial boost to create a plan, and that's what you can commit to. If you never create the plan that you can say every day, this is what I do, day in and day out, non-negotiable, what you're actually committing to is that initial feeling that said, it could be better. And here's why this doesn't work. Imagine seeing a picture of the Eiffel Tower and saying, wow, I can't wait to go there. I've never been to see the Eiffel Tower. Maybe you guys have. I've never been to France. I wish I could go one day. I just got a client and someone from our team just joined, and they had an apartment that looked at the Eiffel Tower. And I think, oh my gosh, that sounds absolutely amazing. But imagine being in Connecticut and getting in your car with the ideal that you would love to get to the Eiffel Tower. You print out a picture because you saw it, you're so excited, and you drive around in Connecticut trying to get to the Eiffel Tower. You drive as far as you can, and you hit the coast, and you drive up and down, and you're trying to find a way, I need to get there. But then what ends up happening? You go day after day after day after day, and you're not getting any closer. You could drive up to Canada, you can try to get to Newfoundland, you can try to hit Labrador, you can try to get over, but you just don't know where to go and how to get there. And then imagine giving up. You have this picture, you want to go, the intention's there, and if every realtor who I met was able to be successful based upon their intentions, I would be out of a job. Because it's not the lack of intention or desire that is needed. It is the lack of a plan that someone can truly commit to. My friends, most individuals in their lives are committing to the emotions that they have that are as weak as the air that we breathe. That's it. It's powerful for a second, and then it's gone. It's just a vapor, and it was never meant to sustain you. This is why 87% of realtors fail. It's because one of the saddest things in life happens with most realtors is that they get into the business and they're being taught by people who also don't have plans, but come after them with this one big thing. They tell you, what is your big why? Ready? They tell it to you out of context. The big why that many talk about is so important, but most of the time it is out of context. Okay? It's out of context. And I'll share with you why. Well, because if you're talking about your big why, then you have to ask yourself, how does it relate? Well, remember, here's our Eiffel Tower that we want to get to. And here's the actual path to get there. But underneath it all is a very detailed leaving the office in Simsbury and driving up Wolcott Road and going down and passing at 187 and then getting on Rainbow and then getting to the airport. And then there would be instructions from there on how to go from there and jump on your plane and get over to France. And then eventually it's the instructions on how to drive from the airport and get to the Eiffel Tower. But this is what ends up happening. We have this great emotion about what we want to do in our life. And then all of a sudden people tell you, well, you need to figure out what your big why is. And here's the issue with that. Most of us have our friends, our family, our relatives as our big why. It's so important. We know that they're important to us, but it would still be like driving around with that picture of the Eiffel Tower and someone's on the radio just saying, just dig in. What's your big why? And you're like, I'm really committed. I got to do this for my family. I have to. Imagine you're that person of French heritage who just wants to see the Eiffel Tower and being reminded over and over and over. Well, if your why was big enough, you'd push through and reach it. That's sad. They ask people, okay? They ask other people. You can stop and ask for directions. You can stop, but most of the time you're asking for people who have never been there. So what do you need? Let's talk about commitment and let's talk about recommitment. We can always find ourselves dedicated and unchanging in our minds. We can say that about anything in life. We could say, I'm dedicated to drive to the office today. I'm dedicated to make calls today. I'm committed to do any of those things. But if I don't have a plan for each one of those activities, I'm actually just committing to an intention. I'm not committing to a plan. This is why we need a path to success. This is why we need a written step-by-step process to show us the path every single day. Not, I want to sell 24 homes. It's how will I sell 24 homes? It's not that I want to earn $150,000 this year and pay off some debt and put a down payment down on a new property. It's how will I do that? Because I can commit to that. And my big why that I put in my life of something that reminds me of it is all it is a reinitiator of the initial emotion that got me down that path in the first place. That is the purpose of the big why. That is the purpose of putting it into context so that you can actually reach your goals. The big why is not bad. It just needs to be put in context. And where does it get put into context? It gets put at the top of the map. It's a reminder. It's the photograph of the Eiffel Tower with all of the directions that reminds you, I'm going here, and if it gets hard and I run out of gas, and if the plane has an issue mechanically, or if I get to the other side and I don't know the language, or whatever it is, I'm going to figure it out because my why is big enough. Big whys and plans were meant to stand up against the resistance of life, but your emotion and your intention in the start was never meant to. So I want to ask you this morning, what is your plan? What is your plan? At our company, we create what's called our path to success. And our path to success is designed to actually be multifaceted. Because as you looked at that plan of like getting to the Eiffel Tower, it wasn't just a straight screenshot of here's Connecticut and here's France and you fly over. That's the first thing, which most people utilize as their plan. But it actually starts to break down into I need to get in my car and I need to pack these things and I need to drive this way and blah, blah, blah. And all of that we lay out in budget worksheets and we lay out in scripts and we lay out in where you can generate your business and all different kinds. And the fact is that you're likely going to hit detours in your business, but you could still commit to a plan and get help in recalculating your route. But no one else can recreate enough emotion for you to realize your goals. We can't. No one can. And I don't want you to fail. So let me get to the whole point of today, which is recommitment. What does that look like? Well, in order to define recommitment, I had to define commitment. And commitment is that state of being dedicated, and dedicated is that quality of being committed. And we defined it as, I'm not going to change my mind. And so I want to ask you this morning, what are you not going to change your mind about this week? What are you not going to change your mind about into the coming week? What are you not going to change your mind about by the end of the year? What are you not going to change your mind about going into 2025? Is it your intention of, I come hell or high water, I'm going to earn 100 grand? Okay. Is it, I'm going to finally this year, I'm going to really dig in and I'm going to really, okay, how? What I would ask you is this: what is your written step-by-step process that you can truly commit to, that if you do get off the path, you can recommit to and get right back on? Because that is the superpower of any successful business person. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter if you're extroverted, doesn't matter if you're introverted, doesn't matter if you're good in numbers, doesn't matter if you're bad, doesn't matter if you've got the experience or you're brand new, it doesn't matter if you're 22 years old in this business or you're 65 years old in this business. It doesn't matter what your intention is. It matters what your plan is. Because if you get off of the path of success and you detour and you get caught up in a shiny object, your mind tells you need this system and that system built, you need to get organized here and you need to get organized here. Most of the time, that's because you never had a plan in the first place. But the plan, the path to success, will keep you on every day. So here's what I'd encourage you. How do you know if you have a plan? Well, a plan for you is not an ideal of an annual thing. It's not an annual, because we don't operate annually. We actually don't operate quarterly. We don't operate monthly. We don't operate just weekly. We're getting close. We operate daily and down to the hour. That's how our business operates. And where we generally get off the path and need to recommit is on an hourly and daily basis. That's where we need to recommit. We don't need to recommit once a year. This is why go to the board for so many is completely useless. They don't understand how it works. This is why path to successes for some people are completely useless. They don't understand how it works. Those are designed to find a top end of the road goal. That's your Eiffel Tower. But your path to success is not just a number. It's how you get to the number. That's the point of it. And when you veer off the path, when you get distracted, when you get discouraged, when you feel full of dismay and you're not exactly sure where to go and you need to get back on direction, that's what recommitment is all about. You're looking back to the path that you wrote. See, most of us are really only a few steps off the path. We're just a few steps off the path. And we kind of look and we kind of see it, but we veer off, and that's maybe why our goals take a little bit longer. But some of us have a tendency to go way deep in the woods. And so recommitment is the superpower to be able to stop in your tracks every day and every week and say to yourself, where am I today? So what is that going to take for you? Well, the first thing that it's going to take is the ability, one, to have a plan that is step by step and is matching up with your calendar. If you don't have that, then let's start there today. If you don't have that, you came up with a path to success, you told your mentor, you told somebody, I'm going to sell 24 houses this year, and you really actually don't have a plan. It's like, I'm going to call leads, I'm going to reach out to my database, and that's like very vague. Then you don't have a plan. You have intentions. You have general ideas. That's like saying, I'm going to get in my car and kind of drive east, and I think I'm going to get to the ocean. I think I'm going to take a plane, and I think I'm going to get to the Eiffel Tower by landing on the other, across the pond. It's vague. You're probably going to get lost. If you need a step-by-step plan, let's start there. The second thing is this: if you keep veering off the path, then what you need is accountability. Accountability is the process of recommitment on a daily basis with someone who has gone the path before. It gets a bad rap of calling you out for doing what you should have done, but what it truly is a recommitment to what you said you would do in the beginning. It's a reminder of your commitment. And so if you need accountability, we're actually starting our first accountability sprint in this fashion. It's a daily check-in, and we're starting that tomorrow. If you're interested in that, I encourage you to DM me. There's some amazing opportunities there for you to earn extra money for yourself and also hold yourself accountable to a plan. And the last thing that needs to happen is, if you do have the plan and if you are recommitted, then that's when you bring in your big why. And you need to find something that's going to sustain the test of life. The test of life is always going to come and present a challenge. It's always going to throw a curveball to you. It's not going to come. It's going to come out of left field. You weren't preparing for it. It is that little black swan event that happens. It's going to be challenging, but the big why keeps you rooted. Remember that if you don't have all of these together, it's not going to work. You need to have the plan. You need to have the accountability and you need to have the big why all tied together, because if you do, then you will realize your goal. Let me tell you what mine is. I'll be very clear with you. My plan every single week is to have 5 meetings with new agents that I can help. 5 agents. And the other part of that plan is 5 workouts a day. I know that if I keep to those 5 non-negotiable commitments and dedications, then my life will be healthy and my business will be healthy. That's it. Simple. Now, how I get there, I have a very detailed process for that. I have time in my calendar for the workout. I have time in my calendar to eat right. I have time in my calendar for all those things. And when my team sees me not sustain to those, they remind me so that I can get back on track. Then I ask myself, okay, well, I've got my plan. What's next? Do I have accountability? I have accountability. I've got the team around me who's constantly reminding me every day and every week to hold to that plan so that their lives are also positively affected. And then the last one is, what's your big why? And my big why, like many of you, is my family. It's my reason and purpose to provide for them. Secondarily, it's to change the real estate industry and to make sure that I leave it better than I found it in a way that actually provides a step-by-step plan for real estate agents in the way that I wish that I was taught. Guys, thank you so much for joining me this Friday for Mindset. I hope you guys have an opportunity to reflect on what is my commitment? What have I committed to? Did I commit to an intention? Did I commit to an ideal? Did I commit to a feeling, to an emotion? Did I commit to some just ideal outcome that's out there and I'm trying really, really hard for it? Or did you commit to a plan in order to reach that end? If you haven't and you need help, that's what I'm here for. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you have an amazing day today. Make it an awesome weekend for yourselves. Make it productive. If you need to, take some time for yourself to write down that plan, reach out to me, recommit to that plan, and start fresh again. All right, guys, make it a wonderful day. Bye-bye.